Hello, my name is Mrs. Epps, and today's video lesson is going to be on telling time to the nearest 5 minute. Telling time to the nearest 5 minute. As always, we always go over our lesson objective, and we go over the materials that you're going to need for the lesson. Okay, so let's do that. So if you see here, you see we have our objective, which is right here. And it says here, I will tell time to the nearest 5 minute. So I want you to keep that in your focus, okay? We're going to tell time to the nearest 5 minute, okay? And what you're going to need is an interactive clock, all right? And I'm going to provide an interactive clock for you in the materials section. It's right under the video link. There's the materials section. There's going to be an interactive clock for you to use online or paper. With the paper clock, your parent would have to print that down, okay? They would have to print that clock down so that you can cut it out and you'll be able to move your hands because you want to be able to do that for this lesson, okay? All right. So if you look here, we have an analog clock. This is called an analog clock, okay? Because you have two types of clocks, all right? So this is called an analog clock, all right? Now, let's go to our next clock. I'm going to show you this one. This is called a digital clock right here. This is a digital clock, okay? This is the hour side, and then that is the minute side. And you probably have one of these clocks in your house. Your parent may have one of these types of clocks next to their bed. Or they may have an analog clock next to their bed, okay? Anyway, this is telling time in a digital way, and this is telling time with your analog clock, okay? All right. So let's go back over here. And what we want to do, we want to take a look at the parts of the clock. And by that, the parts, I mean the hands of the clock. You have a short hand and you have an hour hand, okay? So let me point to that with my pen. This is your short hand, and this is your long hand. Now, your short hand is your hour hand, okay? And your long hand right here is going to be your minute hand, okay? All right, so let's go back again. The short hand is your hour hand. This one is your hour hand, and this hand here, which is the long hand, is called your minute hand, okay? Now, the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to review telling time by the hour. So let me show that to you. And you will have access to this clock. Do you see where my arrow is? Watch what I do with my arrow. You see how I moved it with the arrow? That's all you need to do. You're going to have your mouse. You take your mouse, and I can even, well, on my computer, I can use my finger. Oh, not on this one. So you're going to have to use your mouse to move your hands, okay? So this is 6 o'clock. We know that whenever that minute hand is pointing to that 12, we're going to say o'clock. So our hour hand is pointing to the 6, and our minute hand is pointing to the 12, and we say 6 o'clock. What time is it? 6 o'clock. Okay. Now, whenever you tell time to the nearest 5 minute, if you recall, that is our objective today. We always have to start with this 0 here, and we're going to count by 5, starting after 0, okay? Counting by 5. So watch me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Because we have 60 minutes in an hour, okay? So you always start counting by fives on the 0. Some clocks have a 6 here. Okay, you will see a 6 and a 0. This particular clock has 2 zeros. But be that as it may, you still are going to start counting by fives starting right here. Okay? So let's get started with our first example. Oops, let's put our pen away. So if I move my minute hand to the 10, we would not read this time as 6-2. We would have to read this time to the nearest 5 minute. And how do I do that? I'm going to start at the 0. Let me get my pen. And I'm going to say 5:10. It is 6:10. So let me write that over here. 6:10. That is the time. 6:10. Okay? Now, if you notice here, do you see how our hour hand is not all the way on the 6? It's right on the side of the 6. Okay? If this is the case, we are still on the 6 o'clock hour. Okay? Just because I have a runaway marker here, whoops, it'll go away. Hold on. Let me take it off. Okay. Just because our hour hand is not pointing exactly on the 6 does not mean it's the 7 o'clock hour. No, it is still the 6 o'clock hour. So we do want to be mindful of that. Okay? All right, let's do our next time. So here we are again. So now we have to read this time. And once again, we always start with the 0 and then we're going to count by fives because we need to determine what time this clock says. Don't forget, we're telling time by what? The nearest 5 minutes. Okay, so let's start here. I'm going to use my arrow, okay? All right, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, okay? Now our hour hand is still in between the 7 and the 8, okay? Which means it's still the 7 o'clock hour. So it is 7:40. 7:40 is our time. And we see it right here in digital time. And you know, Mrs. Epps just realized that she had a digital clock right there, okay? But it is 7:40, all right? Okay, let's do our next time. Now, if we go to our other clock, okay, here we go. Okay, all right, so now we want to tell time to the nearest 5 minute, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the 0, and we're going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. It is 8:50. Why is it 8:50? Because see, that hour hand is not all the way on that 9. If we look right here and we follow our line, it's right under the 9. In order for it to be the 9 o'clock hour, that hour hand needs to be pointing directly to the 9, and that's not what it is doing. So it is still the 8 o'clock hour, okay? And it is 8:50. Now, with this particular clock, it's going to give you the time, the digital time right here, which I did not realize, okay? So let's go over to this one over here. Now, on this particular clock, let's go back. You see how we have our numbers? It's not going to be on this one, okay? So we're just going to pretend like our numbers are here, okay? Let's do our next time. All right. Okay, I think we're going to have to go back to the other one because I don't want this clock to confuse you. Okay, it's okay. All right. Okay, so if we look here, we need to determine what this clock says, okay? So if we start here, we're going to start counting by 5, starting on our 0, and we're going to do it like this. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, okay? Now, it may look like that our hand is pointing on that 11, but it's not quite there. And let me prove it to you. You see how the hour hand is right on the side of the 11? It's not on the 11. It's over on the side, so it's not quite there. So it's still the 10 o'clock hour. So it is 10:55, okay? 10:55. Here is our digital time right here. 10:55. This is our hour side. That's our minute side. 10:55, okay? All right. That was a tricky one, was it not? So you really have to look closely at your clock when you're telling time by the 5 minute. Okay, so you really have to look very carefully so that you make sure that you're telling the correct time. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, so now what time is this? Our hour hand is pointing to what? It's right on the side of the 11, so it's still the 11 o'clock hour. So now we need to determine what time our clock says by counting by 5s, right? So we start where? At the 0, and then we're going to start counting by 5s. 5. What time is it? 11:05. 11:05. 11:05 is our time, okay? All right, and here is our digital time right here. So now I've done a lot of examples for you. So now I'm going to give you a chance to pull up this clock right here, okay? I'm going to call out the time, and then you're going to show that time on your clock, okay? All right, so let's go with our first one, 12:20. 12:20. So I'm going to leave my clock here for a second. I want to give you a chance to find 12:20 on your clock, okay? 12:20. Let me write it over here. Oops. Let me get a pen. 12:20. All right. So let's do it. There it is. Does your clock look like mine? If it does not, please correct it. And I'm going to show you why this says 12:20. So we can see here that our hand is right behind that 12. So that means this is still the 12 o'clock hour. Okay. And then we start counting by 5, starting with 0 to see what the exact minutes are. So 5, 10, 15, 20. And we know that it is 12:20. Okay. And that's why. Now, we have to be mindful, like I said, about where this hour hand is pointing to. Have to make sure that you read it correctly, because if it's not directly pointing to a number, just let me show you an example. See how this lines up perfectly. See that lines up perfect? I know that's the 1 o'clock hour, okay? I know that this is the 1 o'clock hour because it lines up perfectly, okay? And that's what you want to see if you're telling time to the hour. Must line up perfectly. All right. Let's do our next time. 7:35. 7:35, and I'll write it. 7:35. Okay. 7:35. Oop, it went away. I'm sorry. I want you to find 7:35 on your clock. All right. Does your clock look like mine? This is 7:35. And why is it 7:35? Because our hour hand has just passed the 7, which means it is still the 7 o'clock hour. Okay? So let's count by fives because we need to show 7:35. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. 7:35. 7:35. Okay? All right, let's switch clocks. Let's go to a different one. All right? Okay, so our next time is going to be 6:45. 6:45. All right, show me that time on your clock or show it to your parents. Show them 6:45. Okay, so let's do it. And if your clock looks like this, you're correct. Okay? Because this is 6:45. If you notice, the hour hand has just passed the 6. It's not on the 7. So that means we are still in the 6 o'clock hour. Okay? So now, why is it 6:45? Because we had to count by 5, starting on the 0. On here, you have a 12. If it has 60 here, if it has 2 zeros here, it's the same thing. So you're going to start counting by 5, starting right here. So you're going to do it like this. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 6:45. Okay? 6:45. Did you come up with that answer? I know you did. Okay, I know you did because you're really watching and paying attention and hanging in there with me. Okay? All right, let's do our next one. 8:45. 8:45. 8:45. 8:45. Okay, here again. Why would I say this is 8:45? Because if we look closer at our hour hand, we see that that hour hand is not directly on that 9. And we're looking at the hour hand. You're going to start with the hour hand first when you're telling time, okay? We're looking at the hour hand. So we know that it's not directly on 9, so we're still in that 8 o'clock hour. So we know that's 8. So now we need to see what the minutes are. So how do we do that? We're going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 8:45. Okay? 8:45. All right. What are we doing today? What is our objective? Did you say our objective was to tell time to the nearest 5 minute? That's exactly what we're doing today. Okay? Don't forget that. All right. Let's do our next one. 120. 120. Show me 120. Excuse me, or show it to your parent. 120. Okay, does your clock look like mine? It should. So why is this 1:20? You know, we start telling time with the hour hand right here. We see that that hour hand is pointing right after the 1, which means we're still in that 1 o'clock hour. Okay. So now we need to determine what our minutes are. So we're going to do that by starting here on the 12. So we're going to go 5, 10, 15, 20. 1:20. And there is the digital time right there. 1:20. Okay? 1:20. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave this page and we're going to do something different. I'm going to write down some times, okay? Oh, let me type them in for you. It'll be easier if I type good. Okay. Okay, so we see we have some times here, so we're going to read them. A, 12:20, B, 7:35, or D, or C, 6:45. So now I'm going to put a time on the clock. And I think it's already given away. What time does this clock say? Okay, so we need to determine what time it says, right? These are our choices. A, 12:20, B, 7:35, or C, 6:45. 6:45. And what time does our clock say? Let's see. So our hour is right after that 12. So we know we are still in the 12 o'clock hour. So how do we determine the minutes? We're going to count to the nearest 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. It is 12:20. It's right here. The answer was right here. I'm sorry. I have a runaway pen again, but my answer is right here. And I can't do like this because the red won't stay very long. I probably could have just, I know what to do on the next one. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's look at our next time, okay? All right, let me see if I can get it right on this one. Oops. Okay. You probably, because you're so smart, I know you already know what time it is. Miss Epps thinks she's going to fool you, and she's not. What time does our clock say? Okay, so we have to determine what hour it is, right? So we can see here that our hour hand is not all the way on the 9 yet. So it must be the what hour? The 8 o'clock hour. Let's determine our minutes by counting by the nearest 5, okay? So we're going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. What time is it? Here it is right here. 8:45. You see that? 8:45, okay? All right. All right, let's do our next time. Let's go back over here to our other clock, okay? Let's do 2:40. 2:40. I want you to show me 2:40 on your clock, okay? 2:40. I'm going to give you a second to do that. Okay. Okay, your clock should look like mine. Okay, because this is 2:40. Why is it 2:40? Because if we notice here, our hour hand is pointing directly after the 2, which means it's still the 2 o'clock hour. To determine our minutes, we're going to count by 5, starting with the 0. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. It is 2:40. What time is it? 2:40. Okay? All right, let's keep working hard. Our next time is going to be 3:45. 3:45. Now I want you to show me 3:45 on your clock. Now you know Mrs. Epps can't see you, but I want you to pretend like I'm sitting next to you, and your parents are acting on my behalf. So show the time to your parent or whoever's next to you, and show them the time of 3:45. 3:45. Okay, are you ready? Let's do it. So now your clock should look just like mine. If we look here, my hour hand is not directly on the 5. Why? Because we can see it's right over top of the 4. So that means we're still on the 3 o'clock hour. Now we have to determine our minutes. So we're going to start by counting by 5, starting right here on 12. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. It is 3:45, okay? And I want you to know that telling time is something that you have to practice. It's something that you have to practice. So don't worry if you do not understand on the first try. It's okay. I don't want you to give up. I want you to keep working at it until you have mastered it, because I know that you can do it, okay? All right. Let's do 450. 450. 450. 450. Okay. Now your clock should look like mine. It should look like mine. Okay, here is our hour. And if we follow our line here, we can see that it's right on top of the 5. It's not directly on the 5 yet. Okay, so we're still in the 4 o'clock hour. Now we need to determine the minutes. How do we do that? By counting by 5s. Let's do it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There it is. It's 4:50. Okay. All right, guys. Let's do some review. So as I stated, whenever you're counting or telling time to the nearest 5 minutes, you're going to start right here on your 12, and you're going to start counting by 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So this is your hour hand. That's your minute hand, right? So if we look at our example, we can see here that our hour hand is not directly over that 5. It may look like it, but it's not. Let's draw the line. See? So that means we are still in that 4 o'clock hour. So we have to be mindful of that. Okay? If this hour hand is not pointing directly to a particular number, it's still the same hour. The hour has not changed. Okay? And of course, we just reviewed how we count by 5s to determine our minutes. Okay? I have enjoyed being with you today. I hope that you will continue to practice telling time to the nearest 5 minutes. I am going to include some information under the materials section that will help you to continue to count by 5s to the nearest, I'm sorry, tell time to the nearest 5 minute, okay? I'm going to have some examples for you so you can practice at home. Don't stop practicing. And I want you to stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you again in the next video lesson. Hello, my name is Ms. Epps, and I'm coming to you today with another video lesson. And our video lesson is going to be on a book entitled Making Choices at the Gift Shop. Making Choices at the Gift Shop, okay? And as always, before we begin our lesson, we always have to go over what? The lesson objective and the materials that you're going to need. Okay, and as you can see here, we have a picture of a gift shop, all right? So it says here, this is our lesson objective here, and it says, I will remember what the Kinder family chooses to buy at the gift shop. I will remember what the Kinder family chooses to buy at the gift shop. What are the materials that you're going to need? Paper, pencil, and a copy of today's story, okay? And a copy of today's story is right under the video lesson. There's a link to the copy of today's story, and if I add any other additional materials, they will be there as well, okay? So we have to remember what the Kinder family is going to buy at the gift shop, okay? So I want you to be thinking about that as we go through our lesson today. Before we begin our story, you always know what we're going to do. We're going to go over those topic words first because I want you to be able to focus in on these words as we read the story. So what I want you to do is get your pencil, and I want you to underline the words in the story. You can do this after we have finished reading the story. You can also use a highlighter to highlight the words, because a good thing to do is to be able to define your words using the story, okay? And then you can go and get a dictionary and compare your definitions to the definitions you find in the dictionary. You can also put these words in alphabetical order. And hey, here's another great thing you can do. You can draw a picture of the words. Let's say if you choose the word scared, okay, and you could possibly draw a picture of something that looks scared, right? That can help you to remember the words. So that's a good thing to do too. These are all additional activities you can do once we finish reading the story, okay? All right, so let's go over the words. I want you to repeat the words after me. And don't forget to be on the lookout for them, okay? Our first word is choose, fun, scared, move, turn, up, down, fast, slow, around, gravity, spin, okay? Now, also too, you can start like a vocabulary journal with these words. Like you can get a notebook and put all of your words that you have learned from all of the wonderful lessons that have been taught to you and put them all in a book. And you can go back at any time and make sentences with those words. And your parent can help you make sentences, okay? All right, so that's another good activity you can do as well, okay? All right, so what we want to do before we start reading our story, we want to do an activity. And let's just take a look at our book cover here, okay? We know the title of our story is called Making Choices at the Gift Shop, all right? So it says, what is the title of this chapter? So what is the title of this chapter? Did you say Making Choices at the Gift Shop? Because if you did, you were correct, okay? All right. Making choices at the gift shop. All right. What do you think this chapter will be about? Okay. I think, okay, it will be about buying things at a gift shop. Okay, could be. We have to read and find out, right? Okay, so here we are. This is a chapter book. What kind of chapter book is this? Is it a fiction book or a nonfiction book? Now, I want you to think about these two types of books, okay? Now, a fiction book is what kind of book? Did you say it's a make-believe book or an imaginary book? A book that's not real? That's correct, if you did, okay? What kind of book is a nonfiction book? Did you say it's a book that's based on actual facts or something that is true, that really happened? Okay? If you did, you are correct. Most nonfiction books include charts, they include graphs, they have bold words in books that are nonfiction, and you can open that book anywhere and start reading. With a fiction book, you cannot do that. You have to start at the beginning. So let's take a look at our book, okay? And let's just walk through the pages. Now we see here that we have illustrations. Fiction books have illustrations in them, okay? All right, and we see another illustration. So this must be a what kind of book? A fiction book, okay? All right, what is the chapter topic? Is it biography, social studies, or science? What do you think? Now, it's all about buying things, right? Now, do we learn about buying things in science? So we know that it's not science. Is this book about one person? Because a biography is usually about one person. So if we go back over here and we look, we see one person here, but we see another person here. So it's not about just one person. So this must be a book that's centered around social studies, because in social studies we learn about buying things. All right. So it says here, compare this book to a chapter book that has been recently read. So when we compare things, what do? We talk about the similarity and the differences of things when we're comparing them, right? Okay. So I'm going to think about a book that I have recently read to give you an example. And then I want you can take the time on your notebook paper or your in your notebook or notepad or whatever you have that's handy, and think about a book that you've recently read, okay? And then what you can possibly do is compare it to this book that we're going to read. Although we haven't read it, but we have looked at the book cover, okay? All right, so I read a book about DNA in plants, okay? This book is about buying, and it won't let me type any further, okay? But this book is about buying things in a gift shop. Well, that's the difference. One book is about buying things, but the other book was about DNA and plants. Two different topics. Now, so that's what you're doing when you're comparing, okay? All right. So now let's move on. It says, what kind of book would you choose? A picture book, a chapter book, a comic book, or a book with facts? Well, in this case, I would choose a chapter book because I like chapter books. Okay? Now you pick what you like. All right? So let's move on. Let's get ready to read our story. Now I want you to listen carefully. because you will be answering some questions at the end of the story. Okay? And let's begin. All right, so the Kinder family starts walking to the gift shop. Each of us chose something different to do at the amusement park, says Mr. Kinder. People can choose different activities. Some activities may be fun for you. They might make someone else scared. People can like different things. Okay? So let's just take a look at our focus question at the bottom here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. It says, describe why people might choose to do different activities at the amusement park. So we know when we describe something, what do? We tell how it looks, how it feels. We're making a description. And then it says, describe why people choose different things. Okay? So if we can see right here, it says they might make someone else scared. People like different things. So people can choose different activities to do. Some might be fun for you, and some might make some other people scared. Okay? So you see that? So that's the answer right there to those questions, okay? To that statement at the bottom there. All right. Move me right here. I went on the water slide, says Gwen. I thought it was fun. Jen liked the Ferris wheel, but I was scared riding the Ferris wheel. I didn't like being so high up in the air. I will go on a water slide again. I will not ride a Ferris wheel again. Okay, let's see what our focus question says. And it says here, how does Gwen feel on the water slide? How does she feel on the Ferris wheel? So we have to go to the part of the sentence that talks about the water slide and the Ferris wheel. Okay, so here's Gwen, and she says, I thought it was fun. So now, Gwen says she went on the water slide. So how does she feel about the water slide? She said, I thought it was fun. How does she feel about the Ferris wheel? Now, here's Gwen right here. She says that Jen liked the Ferris wheel. Now, then Gwen makes a comment. She says, but I was scared riding the Ferris wheel. So now we see that Gwen said she thought it was fun to ride the water slide, but she was what? She was scared to ride the Ferris wheel. Okay? So when you're answering these type of questions, you have to be very careful to make sure that the right character is speaking. Okay? And that you're answering the question correctly. All right. All right, I have another statement to make about this page. That we know that Gwen feels scared, and then people can choose different activities when they go to an amusement park. Not everyone will like the same thing, okay? And that's very true. All right. All right. Now, I rode on the roller coaster, says Ben. It was fun. Gwen liked the water slide, but I was scared when I rode the water slide. I didn't like moving down the water slide so fast. I will ride a roller coaster again. I will not go on a water slide again. Okay? So let's see what our focus question says here at the bottom. Now, how did Ben feel on the roller coaster? How did he feel? And it says, how does he feel on the water slide? So we're looking for, whenever you're answering a question, you're looking for that keyword. You're looking for Ben and how he felt. So here's Ben. Now, what ride did he ride on? He says, I rode on what? The roller coaster. And how did he feel about it? He said it was fun. Now, we see here that Gwen liked the water slide. He says, but I was scared when I rode the water slide. Who's talking? Ben. So how does he feel about the roller coaster? He said it was fun. How did he feel about the water slide? He said he was what? He was scared. All right. Now, if we think about our previous page, page 50 here, Ben enjoyed riding a different ride than Gwen, right? Okay. Now, if we move on, we're going to move on to our next page, okay? So let's go to our next page. We're going to have another comment I want to make about this. But that's true in any case. Whenever you go to a place like this, there are so many rides. There are so many rides. I can remember going to Kings Dominion at one time. It was so many rides there. No, it was Disney World. And it's just so many rides, and everybody's not going to like the same rides. Okay? All right. So now the Kinder family arrives at the gift shop. They see different kinds of souvenirs to buy. There are colorful t-shirts, keychains, and magnets. Now it is time for everyone to choose a souvenir to buy, says Mrs. Kinder. Souvenirs can help us remember what we did on our trip. So now they're at the gift shop. Now let's think about our objective, right? What was our objective? I will remember what the Kinder family chooses to buy at the gift shop. Okay? All right. So let's make our focus statement here a little bit bigger at the bottom so we can see what it wants us to do. It says, why will the Kinders buy souvenirs at the gift shop? Now, did you say souvenirs can help us remember what we did on our trip? And that's very true. Every time I go on a trip, I always look for a refrigerator magnet because I love refrigerator magnet. It's my way of remembering where I went and what I did. They are so fun, okay? And I'll even ask family members and friends if they're going to a place that I have never gone to, bring me a magnet back because it helps me to learn about a new place and it adds to my collection. I love it. Okay. All right, so let's go on. It says, pick a souvenir to help you remember what you like doing today, says Mrs. Kinder. I choose a t-shirt, says Gwen. I remember how the water rides move. I move fast down the water slide. I move slowly floating on a tube in the water. Okay? So let's make it a little bit bigger. And it says here, what will Gwen remember about how she moved on the water rides? What will she remember? What did she say? She says, here's the section that talks about the water rides. And she says, I will remember I moved how fast down the water slide. I moved slowly floating on a tube in the water. Okay? If you said that, you were correct. Okay, I choose a roller coaster keychain, says Ben. It will help me remember how roller coasters move. They move slow up hills. They move fast down hills. Roller coasters turn and go around loops. Gravity helps roller coasters move. Okay, so let's see what our focus statement or question says. It says, what will Ben remember about how roller coasters moved? How do they move? What did he say? He says they move what? Fast down hills. What do? They turn and go around in loops. Okay? If you said something like that, you were correct. We're answering a lot of questions, aren't we? And I know you're doing a great job. Okay. So it says here, I choose a Ferris wheel magnet, says Jen. I want you to remember how the Ferris wheel spins around in a circle. You slowly move up until you get to the top. Then you slowly move back down to the ground. Those are great souvenirs, says Mrs. Kinder. She pays for the items. Okay, let's see what our focus question says. What would Jim remember about how the Ferris wheel moved? How did it move? Okay, how did it move? She says, you move slowly up, right? See, she's talking about the Ferris wheel. There it is. She said you move slowly up and then you move slowly back down to the ground. Okay? Okay, we learned a lot today, says Mr. Kinder. People can choose different activities to do. People and things move at the amusement park. Yes, there's a lot of movement, right? They move fast and slow. They move up, down, and spin around. Objects can move back and forth or straight. Now, let's go home. I'm tired. All right. Okay, let's see what that focus question says at the bottom. And it says, what was your favorite activity that the Kinder family did in this book? What was your favorite activity? And then you tell why. Okay, so I'm going to pick one. Oh, let me move back. Let me move back. Okay. And you know, I guess the favorite activity that I liked was the fact that, this story was all centered around them making choices at the gift shop. And if you have ever been at a gift shop, it is a wonderful place to go because you can see so many things that you won't see anywhere else. You see a lot of unique things, okay? So I guess my favorite part of the store was the actual part of them going to the souvenir shop. But you may have liked the way they remembered their trip and what they did. That's excellent too if you chose that as well. Or you may have come up with something totally different, okay? But make sure it relates to our story, okay? All right, so let's get ready to put our thinking caps on because we're going to get ready to answer some questions, okay? Let's get our story back to the beginning. Okay, so the first activity we're going to do is a fill-in activity. And whenever you're doing a fill-in-the-blank activity, you always want to remember that whatever word you put in the blank, it has to make sense. And here's our blank right here, okay? So you want to make sure that whatever word you put here, it makes sense in the sentence, okay? It may fit there, but does it make sense? That's the important thing to remember. So what you're going to do whenever we are working with questions, even if I don't tell you this, I always want you to make a choice because you can always pause the screen and say, Mom or Dad or whoever's sitting with you, I need to make a choice in case if I forget to tell you, okay? All right, so let's read our first statement here. It says, people can blank different things. Down, spinning, amusement park, roller coaster, like. Make a choice. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our story to help us find the answer. And we see here that we see the Kinder family, they start walking to the gift shop, right? And we see right here that people can do what? like different things. Okay? So our key word to look for was people, because that's what our one of our that was one of our focus words in the question. So we're going to put like there. Okay? Number 2 says Gwen liked moving fast. Blank the water slide. So let's see what our choices are. Down, spinning, amusement park, roller coaster, like. Make a choice. We're looking for the part that talks about Gwen and what she liked doing. Here's Gwen, and what did she like doing? She liked the water slide. How does it move? Down. Okay? Okay, so now Ben liked the turns and loops on the spinning, amusement park, roller coaster, like. Make a choice. We know that if you look and see at my arrow, you see that we're going to the part of the story that talks about who? Ben, and what he liked. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So here we have Ben, okay, and what did he choose? He chose the what? The roller coaster. Okay? Did you make that decision? If you did, you were correct. All right, so Jen liked something here, and that's our blank, and a circle on the Ferris wheel. Let's see what our choices are. Down, spinning, amusement park, roller coaster, like. Make a choice. Now don't forget, we have to go to the part of the store that talks about who, Jen, and what she liked. Okay? So let's do that. Now here we find Jen, and what did she like? She says here, she says, I will remember how the Ferris wheel does what? Spins. Okay? So Jen likes spinning in a circle on the Ferris wheel. Okay. All right. Number 5 says people and objects move at the down, amusement park, roller coaster, like. Make a choice. So once again, we're going to go back to our story, right? And we talk about it right here. And it says people and things move at the what? Amusement park. Because that was our, here's our choice right here. All right. I have enjoyed being with you today. I hope that you have fun learning about how people make choices and the importance of going to a gift shop. If you are able to go away and take some time to visit a new place, at some point we will when it's safer to do so. But the main thing I want you to remember today is whenever you are answering your questions, please do not forget to look for the keywords in the question, okay? And go to that section in your story, okay, to help you find the answer. All right. Don't forget all the suggestions I made about different activities you can do when we actually finish our lesson. Don't forget to do those. I don't want you to not remember those words. Okay. So don't forget to look up those words or circle them in the story or put them in alphabetical order or put them in a sentence. There's so many things you can do. I've enjoyed being with you today. I want you to stay happy, stay healthy. And I'll see you again in the next video lesson.